that movie and some of the things like the Battle of Dunkland, where they literally got soldiers out with private boats. Like, you know, this guy was a badass. Churchill. I mean,
Churchill was good.
he was like, the whole world was being taken over and he just fought, right? But he wouldn't listen to anybody. He wouldn't listen to politicians, wouldn't listen to anybody. He would go on the train to talk to the people. You know, he wasn't a politician.
I just remember this.
Oh, are we live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
Hi. Okay.
Nobody picked their nose.
Cool. All right, so we have quorum, right? So I guess I can call the meeting to order. All right, so I'm calling the meeting to order today, August 30th, 7:07 p.m. Secretary, can you please call the roll?
Sure can, sure. Let's see, Helen,
Present.
Marcos,
President.
Dave Oliver, not present. Jim Hamilton. Present. Karina, not present. Ryan Holland, present. Manny Martinez, town liaison, and Jessica. I don't believe
I'm
I,
just here with Helen. Yeah.
okay.
My guess, +1.
Nobody told you.
Beautiful. All right.
You get that from me, didn't you?
Jessica, what's your last name?
Rodriguez.
Thank you. Good quorum. Back to you.
Cool. All right, any additions, subtractions from the meeting? No? Okay, all right, so let's go on into old business. So, has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes? Now I'll give you guys a second. Does anyone have a motion?
I typed them. Am I allowed to motion to approve them? I'll motion to approve the minutes.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Update on sponsors from last meeting.
Let me see if I get a response. I accepted the grants for a gold sponsor, so I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay,
I talked to Andrea.
Did we, and I'm sorry if I missed it, did you ever email the sponsor packet, like as far as
What our breakdown is?
yeah, our breakdown?
I can look for it. Jeremy sent me that last time.
I do have a question for you too. Did we end up moving the date to December 10th?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you guys. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And I did share the flyer, so I appreciate you, Manny, and like helping
Yeah,
get that out.
yeah, push that out as quick as possible.
I'm sure we didn't get any like new applications, but at
No,
least no one can say
unfortunately
we didn't put it out, which was the goal. So, cool. All right. Do we have any other updates on sponsors right now?
I'm going to also put one into Ocean Bank for
Okay.
the gold sponsor. So they've done it twice, so I don't think that'll be a problem, but I haven't heard back from Andrea.
Okay.
I'll follow up tomorrow.
Okay. Perfect. Nothing yet on Vicky Bakery or Fiesta.
No, but then Vicky Bakery, they always respond, so I just gotta call them, but that won't be an issue. And I'll call Fiesta this week.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. And then I just want to make one note before we go into new business. We are going to try to use up the money that we have before the fiscal year is over, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess, are we on track with that, with the items that we discussed?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you guys to, what is it that you wanted to purchase?
Okay, so I think from last meeting, we said the Publix cups and plates, Costco wine, and then the polo shirts, if we can get the sizes in before then. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's move on to new business, new class nominations.
I think we had said, didn't we say that you were gonna find out if we could just, there was something that was about the same amount. I don't recall what it was. I don't know if it was the plaques or whatever, without actually spending the money, we would commit the money.
Right, The fast signs, I think we were talking about.
Yeah, right, fast signs, right, that way we wouldn't have to go buy the stuff or anything of that sort. It was about the same price,
Around there, yeah, because we had about 800 and something, I believe. it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
so. I can confirm, I didn't reach out to fast signs as yet, but I can confirm that this week. And we get back to you guys about it if you wanted to spend it on that, so it would just be.
And that way it would avoid having to go buy stuff ahead of time, because we don't know how many people it's gonna be, how big the event is gonna be, so that way,
It's where you store it.
plus we store it, so that way you
Mhm.
meet your objective,
Yeah.
and he knows fast science isn't gonna go out of business,
Right.
right? So,
Whatever is allowed, I think, as
Yeah,
long as we can.
I can talk to him and see what we can get
Okay.
done, so. But I
Um,
would just have to have I would have to have a motion for you guys to spend that first and then go forward to whatever else you guys want me to play. So.
all right, have a motion to allocate those funds to purchase or needs at fast science.
I just want to note that we are already,
We gotta finish the motion, everybody.
Hold on,
We can
yeah,
discuss
and you
them.
can't just say those funds, you gotta tell me the amount.
How much is it? I think it's 800.
You could say remaining funds, that would be a definitive number.
Here it goes, okay. Make a motion to allocate the remaining $874.49 to be spent with fast signs for our event in December.
okay. Do you want to say like instead of polo shirts, Publix cups, Costco wine?
No, because all we gotta do is get rid of that, so you can get the,
Okay,
We just need to move the money
right, exactly.
before they lose it.
For fast signs for what?
Blacks.
For the blacks, right, which is more or less what we spent, right here.
yeah.
Got it,
That's what we
Okay.
spent, yeah.
perfect. And you seconded it.
Second.
I would just amend, like, if we can't do that, we'll just, if you can spend what we had already agreed on. Yeah. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Cool.
Let me just ask
yes.
you if I could, on the polos, I would need to know, I know it's navy, but I would need to know the sizes.
Right, well, that's why we'll have to finish today first to see who gets nominated, and then we'll have to figure out.
Well, I didn't know if there was other people involved on getting shirts, so that's why.
No, it's just the,
Just the inductees.
yeah, and
Okay,
I think if we want them, we're paying for them.
Correct.
I think that's what was
Yeah.
discussed
Yeah.
last.
right. So we put it
Or
in
last
together
week.
though,
Mhm.
to save on the freight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome. Cool. All right, so now on to new business. So we were all sent the different nominees. Did everyone get a chance to review them?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so off the bat, I kind of wanted to give Jim the floor. Jim, if you have a recommendation on how to proceed with the nominations that we got.
Well, actually, I have not seen anything on new, like other than the four that I had submitted. I haven't seen,
Okay, so Manny sent an email
Yeah, yes.
yesterday
okay,
with the nominations that he had, which didn't include, I think, all four. It had Charlie
No, I had all
and
four of
Steve. You had all four of his? Okay. Charlie and Steve,
And
Terry, and that's right, Terry and Gary. Those were your four, right?
right,
There were a couple others, Danny and Cesar Delgado, Reed, I don't have all the last names in front of me, I just wrote down the first
Reed
name.
Stevenson,
Thank you, and Adrian,
Cardenas.
thank you. So with the application, so like, for example, Adrian was a professional baseball player that Manny Sid nominated. We were a wrestler from Barbara Goldman, water polo athlete. Again, another baseball player / coach. There you go.
these had actually have been submitted.
Previously, there were other ones that were just left over.
Oh, okay.
Because, yeah, this one I'm not, Caesar Delgado, I'm not sure. My apologies, I didn't see it.
That's okay. We can give it a moment if you want to review them before we discuss. I'm gonna go over them too.
Sure. The way we voted 2 years ago, which was the last time we actually voted.
Yeah.
Roman had us basically just rank, if I'm remembering correctly.
Right. We ranked-
One through, I think we had 6 at the time, 6 nominations. We have 8 here. So you'd rank 1 through 8, and then if we have a class of 4, it'd be whatever 4 have the lowest scores.
Mhm.
Right.
So one being the
One
highest.
being, yeah, so who would you vote first for, most deserving
Mhm.
on that list? They would get a 1. So if we all voted 1, that he would have a score of 4, that would be the lowest score.
Okay,
And so you're,
I'm happy to go with that, the same scoring method. Make it
I think
easier.
it's easy to
Yeah,
kind of keep track.
perfect. Do you, Manny, do you have an extra pen, any chance, or?
On to this, which is the most important part of it. We were also gonna confirm in the next council meeting if we've got the start of $1,000. Is that a given or no?
Yeah, I would say that's, I believe that's been adopted.
Okay,
So I think that they're just gonna push through.
all right.
And then Manny, I would have to present to the council our options, right, for our.
Yeah, I have to get the, I was telling Jim before you guys heard that. I have to get the information in tomorrow.
Oh,
for the-
right.
For
That's
the,
right.
to get added onto the agenda.
No pressure.
Okay.
So basically you guys have to make the decision tonight. So.
All right, I think we did this on purpose.
Yeah.
When you get into these types of situations, it's, you feel bad talking in front of the public, and then becoming, some of these things would be more negative than positive. I mean, if you're trying to compare one apple versus the other apple, I mean,
Well, yeah,
it gets kind of awkward when you're having names and then you're talking in the public. I mean, other than us as a closed committee, and then you can really say, well, this person is more deserving because of this, but then, because they're all deserving.
at the end of the day, I was gonna say, at the
They're
end of
all
the day, they're
deserving.
all deserving, just,
Who's more deserving?
Mhm.
And at one time, there was a policy too, or a rule or a guideline, maybe it was a guideline, that if a nomination set for a certain period of time, and it was reviewed, he would actually phase out, he would take him out.
okay.
Because, I mean, otherwise they sat and gathered dust, so to speak, but if you've had one, I don't know, I guess we'd have to review that guideline, if that's really true.
It'd be interesting while we finish reviewing. I do have to try to cut out at 7:30, so I got about another 10 minutes.
Okay,
But, and not to rush, but while we're waiting on that, I think it'd be interesting to kind of, I know, what is it? The Football Hall of Fame, you're only eligible for so many
Right.
years and then you're out. But like the Baseball Hall of Fame, there isn't necessarily an expiration on when you can get in or not. I know there's a certain waiting period, but they could still, Dan Patrick talks about still trying to get other people into the Baseball Hall of Fame. It'd be interesting to say something along the lines of, if somebody is nominated, we hold on to the nomination for, say, 3 years, just to insert a number, 2 years. And then they become unnominated. But I would hesitate, just because I don't know, thus far, we've had a plethora of people to choose from.
Right.
But I would hesitate to say that they're never eligible again. They would have to be nominated again in the future in order to be re-reviewed.
Because
In the
at some
future.
point, I agree with it, because at some point, we're going to run out
You would assume,
candidates. or
I would assume.
potentially, Right,
Right.
or they may rise up to the level that they better,
Than
better choice.
the
than
rest of the
somebody else.
candidates.
Right.
But then, yeah, I would say, you set an expiration on the current nomination. So if somebody's nominated this year, there's an expiration date for that nomination. but that's not to say they can't be renominated
Right.
in the future.
One of the ways we may approach it is, it's always difficult when you're trying to pick the four best. Maybe we look at it is if, because we have a couple candidates that played semi-pro or pro baseball in here. Compare it to the candidate, you know, the athlete that we have, you know, because we have C.B. Blake as an NBA player who would exceed any of these athletes. So to me, that's kind of like a no-brainer, but that's just my 2 cents. And not just because he was an athlete, of course, that's why he'd be nominated in the Hall of Fame. It's true for
I would agree with that.
14 years.
Because that way, for as long as you can, you don't dilute.
You're not just winding up with a bunch of community, you always keep a prominent athlete
Right.
available on those two piles,
I mean, you couldn't have 2 athletes, but
right?
you get maybe a community person, excuse me, for sure an athlete, a coach, you know.
I think you got Adrian and Danny both played baseball. Danny didn't give a whole bunch of information. I did not have time to do a deep dive.
I see that because I don't even know where he lived, things like that. I know this particular person played the Alchemist.
Okay.
Adrian Cardenas played, and then he went travel. He was that good. And then I guess he dropped out of baseball, or his choice. I mean, he got, I guess, so many years in the minors and just gave up. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And as far as I knew, he was an outstanding person, character-wise. Excuse me. The other person, Danny Delgado, I
We
don't.
reviewed his in like years ago though.
Right.
So he's from, yeah, I remember this one.
You know, who you were, right,
Mhm. I think this is from like the first year I joined.
yeah, 2019.
Mhm. That wasn't our first class, right? That was our second? Or was that-
Right, look, is this our 5th?
Four pass.
Fourth?
Is it 4th?
Well, this one though, this would be good.
This
This
is,
would be
yeah,
fifth.
this is the one we're
Yeah,
working on
fifth
is our
class,
5th.
Yeah, so this is the third, this is my 4th year, so I missed the first year.
The reason I think the one that was a coach in basketball is that I don't think he was never a head coach when he won a state championship. He was an assistant coach, and compared to other coaches like Gary Cray, who's one that we have, who was actually a head coach that won not only state titles at HML, he won a national mythical, but
Mhm.
still considered the best team in America right here in Hadley, Miami Lakes.
Right.
So if we were comparing that to this coach, I would think.
There should be,
Right, and he's a good character too. Both of these gentlemen are good characters. I mean,
yeah.
but that's when you're kind of comparing one coach to another, that kind of gives you a little bit.
It's not exactly apples to apples, but you're trying to
I'm trying to
find
classify
something
them.
common.
How
Right.
they were going to win the award would be one in coaching, one in playing.
Mhm.
I think that's probably why these 4 are still here, because when we care, I know we did the ranking, but that's how you kind of like look at it.
So I would, since we're, just still in conversation, based on like the amount of folks that we have, and past classes, I reasonable number on between like 3 or 4.
Hmm.
How do you all feel about that?
I think definitely 4 would be kind of like the minimum.
Yeah,
Because one of our candidates is deceased.
yeah.
So that sometimes goes a little quicker
Mhm.
than it does, but I don't know if it did last year, because we had, at least one that was deceased last
Mhm.
year, 2 deceased.
Mhm.
I would think that we should at least do 4, because 3,
Yeah.
for all that we put into it,
Mhm.
3 would be, I think, too little.
Okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable with 4. I feel like 4 is a sweet number. I think 5, I think I don't want it to kind of dilute like the class. If we have like, I don't know. I just want to make sure it remains like as special as possible, if that makes sense.
I agree with the 4.
Mhm.
I think if I'm not mistaken, the first couple of classes were 4, we went 5 last year. But it was also because of the throw off of a couple different, COVID and everything.
Right.
But I think just even a silly example, but just that also supports the 4 is something that I thought was clever that you brought up that I hadn't thought about is it's nice to have your nominees all in the same front row. To have 4 in the front row and then to have the 1 in the second row felt very like,
Awkward.
you're not
Yeah.
second tier, you're still first tier, you should. But it makes sense just aesthetically to have 4 tables in the front. You have your 4 nominees in the front. It's just 4, I think, is really the sweet spot, unless there's a good reason to move off of that number. I think 4 is a good number to stay with.
If we went-
As a default.
If we did have 5, that would put 5 tables up front.
Right.
Just make them all feel
You'd have
equal.
to, almost almost maybe a semicircle, get them all fit.
Right. That works. So if I were voting on an athlete and I feel awkward because I kind of like nominated him, I think Stevie's probably got more credentials as the athlete if we're picking one athlete to start with over the athletes that are right here.
Yeah. I mean, I know you have to go soon. Do you want to go ahead and just like vote really?
Why don't
quick?
we go ahead and rank them? And then if there's
Okay.
any sort of discrepancy, if we wind up with all the athletes in the top 4, then maybe we can have a conversation about moving
Okay,
some of them down.
all right.
But if we
so-
don't, then it might be.
I haven't had a chance to see these 4 though.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was under the impression you saw.
No.
Okay.
Just, I'll look at it real quick.
So what do we do right now? Because we're not gonna have quorum.
Yeah, that's the only thing that the meeting would end once you don't have four.
Yeah.
You guys have gone through
Yeah.
these 4? Give 2 seconds.
So just to,
Well, why don't you go ahead and write your rankings?
Yeah, write yours down.
Okay.
You have yours. I have mine done.
So the way I'll keep it is I'll just add the points under
Mhm.
each. And then.
Okay. Do you want me to add mine to yours?
Well, you just, I rated all 8.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
yeah, so we'll say out the name, add the numbers together. That's, I'm assuming that's how you did last time. And then whoever,
Okay.
that's the top 4, like the smallest numbers.
I do literally just, the top 4 are the smallest.
Right,
numbers.
that's what I'm saying.
literally
So
just
I would
went 1
say-
through 8 and then ranked them.
Okay.
And then I've got the numbers here. So I would like, for example, what do you have Danny rated as?
7,
Caesar,
8,
Reed,
5,
Adrian,
6,
Gary,
4,
Gary,
3,
Charlie,
2,
Steve.
1.
Okay.
Were you copying me or was I copying you?
Jim, you have Danny?
I have Blake first,
Okay.
DeLuca second.
Give me first names if you don't mind. because I don't-
Charlie,
Charlie 2.
right, Gary Cray, third,
Uh-huh.
Terry Curry, fourth,
Okay.
Adrian Cardenas, fifth.
Okay.
I would do the, who's that?
Danny Delgado.
Danny Delgado, sixth.
6. Okay.
And whoever, Stevenson is, Reed Stevenson would be 8.
And then Caesar
And
7.
7 would be,
Caesar.
Okay.
Or
I sent out the email just now with all of the sponsorship packets and the different tiers.
I didn't get home last night till 10 from the snow equipment banks and stuff. So I didn't even,
I also have Blake 1,
Okay.
Charlie DeLuca, the golf guy, 2.
2. Okay.
Yeah, same as Jim,
Gary 3.
Gary 3 and Terry Curry 4.
Okay.
I just have to swap with Dan Delgado 5 and, hold on,
Adrian
right, Adrian,
6.
right, and Reed and Caesar.
Reed is 7 and Caesar is 8.
Right.
All right, so. Your top 4, Stephen Blake has 4, because we already have number 1. Charlie DeLuca is 8, Gary is 12, Terry is 19. Those would be our top 4, with Danny and Adrian coming in behind, just for future reference. And I'll make note of the votes just so we can reference it next year if we want to see the order that we had who was next,
Yeah,
just in case we struggle. But
And maybe also the procedure that we use,
yeah.
yes,
that would be helpful because.
absolutely.
So, since this, so, okay, that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to, have the new class, be Steve Blake, Charlie DeLuca, Gary Curry, and Terry Curry, based on our top 4 picks together. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing none opposed, the motion carries. We have our new class, guys.
Good.
I'm excited. All right, so this is good because this meeting should have been short. It was literally just to pick the new class. Very happy about that.
And I think it's a lesson that whoever nominates people should nominate them early. I really got deep into these.
Uh-huh.
Right. So I think there's weight. A lot of it has nothing to do sometimes with the weight. It has to do with nominating the person earlier.
Like I was interested in, I think Adrian Cardenas could have probably been a great contender. We just didn't have enough information,
Right.
unfortunately.
I was gonna say, that's the other thing, whoever, and I know who did it, but
Mhm.
we need more information, maybe something, excuse me, as a committee, we want to go back in over the course of the next one and do some more
And
research on it.
And that's my point. We need a little bit more time to,
We'll start earlier next year.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
All right, so that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting, I'm gonna call the meeting to end. What is that? Adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second,
At 7:34.
That's
Favor? aye,
Who seconded?
Jim did. All in
Perfect.
favor? I think we all did, so-
Yeah.
But awesome, so next meeting as scheduled, I will present this at the next council meeting, just. let you know
What
the
date?
dates.
What do you want the next one?
Next, oh, do we not have a regular scheduled meeting?
We don't particularly this because.
Okay.
But it's another,
Right.
it'd have to be another good working meeting, because we
Yeah.
probably have a lot to do on the next.
Yeah.
But this doesn't have to be part of the minutes. The meeting, the scheduling of the meeting doesn't have to be
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah, all
Right.
right, so.
Okay,
in my council.
let me know.
meeting, I would really encourage
Thank you.
council people.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for working with me.
Bye.
Quick
It
timing.
makes.
Hey,
it
no,
makes
put
a
a bag is in
difference
the
for them,
room.
you know?
I,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I totally
I
agree.
did. It's in there.
it's,
And the baseball bats too.
the bag,
Last year we had.
They had
This
baseball.
year,
They didn't have the drafting and the coach that drafted for me forgot the
Can we
baseball
maybe do the 20th?
in the room.
Is everyone,
what
Is
age
everyone
group is
open
this?
that?
10U. Or 8U, I'm sorry, 8U.
Did we,
Tuesday the 20th?
we only gave out, was
They
it,
had a
Not
bucket of
finished.
balls.
no, they gave out buckets, but no
Yeah.
balls.
Oh, just buckets?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because,
We left the bucket in the room.
oh, he left it in the room?
Got it.
Oh, geez, there are two
I
in
will
there,
be
so
out of
just take one.
town.
Okay. Any equipment?
I'm with,
There's a meeting 5:30 to 6:30, so I mean, we're still good for
you're
7.
on the committee, so I mean, I'll send you the code to get
Tuesday
in.
the 20th?
Oh, okay, well then get
You
it.
told me.
Okay.
Are you out of town?
No, I'm gonna be out of town until the 13th. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm out of town that those days too.
Yeah,
So
I'm here.
Jim, does the 20th work tentatively? And
Yes.
then Manny can send out a,
The 20th?
awesome. So Manny, you can ask everyone and hopefully we have a people on board for that date.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, Joseph?
Hey, Joseph, we just finished.
Oh my